Hey folks, it's Sam, and today I'm discussing this eclipse season, which has really officially begun. Between now and May 2024, 2024, we're going to be getting the strongest effect of the eclipse season for this cycle. As you could see, and as I've been describing, the eclipse diffusion and influence is really a waxing effect. As we get closer to the eclipse cycle, its effects start to magnify, as you can see illustrated here as well. Now, this is the chart for February 28th, 2024, which is the day that I'm recording this. And as you can see, the moon has just passed Ketu in the sky. So it means we're at this last cycle, because the next time the moon hits Ketu in the sky is going to be March 25th, and that's going to be the first eclipse in this current eclipse cycle. So we're now right in that strongest effect between now and the next month and a half or so, or into early May. So again, this really comports with the eclipse diffusion and influence that I've been talking about, as we're going to start to see the effects of the eclipse magnify over the next month and a half or so, because the actual solar eclipse happens. You see, this is April 8th. So between now and then, between the April 8th solar eclipse, as you can see, sun and moon up here in Pisces, we'll have the lunar eclipse in Virgo. And right now in the sky, we're here on the month before. So we're like a month before that next eclipse. So I'm going to describe these things and a few others in this video today. Please like the video. Clicking like helps a lot more than you know. It pushes the video higher in relevant video searches. Also, please leave a nice comment. Comments also help more than you know, as it raises the video in searches. Many times with hundreds of likes, there are only a dozen comments, and they can be disproportionately negative. So be positive. Let me know if you like this. Even just a few words really helps. So subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of upcoming videos. Yeah, as I've been saying, it definitely helps, and I appreciate that people have been doing that. I wanted to let you know also that you can get this Rahu Ketu, this eclipse free web class that I did. I've already done it. Several of you have gotten it, but again, if you haven't, even register for it again, because go back and watch it again. I just dropped a video in the chat. Rahu in Pisces, Ketu in Virgo. I did this last year because, again, these eclipse cycles are very powerful. You can just click, register now, and there'll be a pop-up, and then you can either watch the instant replay now, or you can select an event date. And the reason I do it this way is because it's more than an hour long. It's a full class. These are screenshots from the class. You can see I went over the case studies of the last time this happened. That includes things like the death of Pope John Paul. As you see here, Charles, Prince of Wales, married Camilla Parker Bowles. I've just recently done big updates on this eclipse and King Charles. So again, these are case studies that I did back when I did this webinar in September or October of last year. So again, these things aren't new for me. I do this all the time. So you can go and register for that. Again, it's free. And you just go to rahuketu.net and register for that, and watch that, because again, these nodal influences are really important. And one of the things that you get in this web class is I also talk about it for each sign, including yours, because based on what your rising sign is, this eclipse is going to affect you differently. So again, making this video now, just as the moon has just passed Ketu in the sky here on February 28th. So this means that we really opened up the eclipse portal, because now the next time the moon hits this section of sky, it's going to be a lunar eclipse. You could see this would be the sun at 11 degrees Pisces and the moon at 12. This will be the next lunar eclipse, this March 25th date. And as you remember, I was doing, as I've done some recent case studies, this coincidentally or not coincidentally is the day that our last president, President Trump, is going to, his trial is going to start. I did a recent case study where I talked about the charts of Trump and Biden completely separate from this eclipse cycle. All I said was that it's going to probably benefit Biden more because it's not in his 8th house. And wouldn't you know, a few days after I did that update, these trial dates were set, and it was set on the date of the lunar eclipse, which is right on the former president's Jupiter retrograde, his retrograde Jupiter. So again, these dates are incredibly powerful for all of us, but you can see how important these cycles are as benchmarks in our lives and throughout the year. So again, right now we're here on February 28th. The moon has just passed, but then this time next month is when we actually have the lunar eclipse. And again, we're looking at the lunar eclipse. It's happening before the solar eclipse because the full moons are happening before the new moons now. And then again, this solar eclipse happens then 2 weeks later up here in Pisces in Revati Nakshatra. And so that's on April the 8th. So again, what this means is that whatever your rising sign is, well, for example, mine is Gemini. So I have this Gemini rising sign. And so for me, this is happening in my 10th house. That's the 10th house of a career and work and duty, responsibility, things like that. And so that means that I have to be focused and sort of obsessed on that thing now. And as you can see, this diagram is actually taken from a page where I'm doing these 2024 eclipse readings for each individual. Because again, for me, having the eclipse cycle with Rahu in the 10th house means that I'm going to have to really be looking at things like responsibility, maturity. That's really what makes us succeed or fail in relationship. In a career. Whatever your rising sign is, like let's say it's Cancer, then it's in your 9th house. So again, whatever that would be where you're going to be experiencing this nodal axis, this nodal shift, and this eclipse happening in April on April 8th. So again, one of the other things that I'm doing is I am doing some eclipse readings. If you wanted me to look at your chart and look at your 2024 obsessions, which is where the sign of Rahu is right now. I'm sorry, the sign of Pisces, where you have this Rahu. That's where we're very obsessed right now. And as we move forward and as we move up to this eclipse, that's going to be magnified. We even use the example of the last president, and it's happening in his 8th house, of all of these losses of sudden and shocking, and even sort of devastating potential losses. You've seen where, again, he's having this lunar eclipse in his 2nd house of money and losing money, right? And having money shockingly taken from you. You can see, all of us have this potential for kind of devastating loss or remarkable gains. So again, wherever that falls, this sign of Pisces falls for you, it's a great opportunity, but there's also some danger and some real intense changes and transformations. So these things are really big for all of us, but also the 2024 blind spots and withdrawals. This is where Ketu, the south node, is in the sky. So wherever this sign is for you, this sign of Virgo, like for me as a Gemini, it's in my 4th house. Let's say you're Scorpio, well, it's in your 11th house. Then the blind spots and the withdrawals are in the 11th house area of life. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's big. That's why I'm doing these assessments. And then also just an analysis of your chart, but also any planets that you have in Pisces or Virgo. Again, because if you have any planets in this axis, it's also really going to affect you. Like, for example, the last president has his Jupiter there. So again, notice that his Jupiter retrograde is in the sign of Pisces and in the sign of Virgo. And right when we have this eclipse on March 25th, the day of the eclipse, March 25th, is the day is when that eclipse is going to happen on his natal Jupiter in his second house. And that's when he's going to court. This was in the hush money payments that happened back in 2016. But again, you can see the eclipse right on his second house, because for him it's Leo, and it's the planet Jupiter, which is about the legal system, as an example. So again, but all of us have this somewhere, even if you don't have any planets in Virgo, maybe you have planets in Pisces, but even so, as I said, when you consider this diffusion and influence, it may be even more impactful for you because you have planets, let's say, in Aquarius. Like, for example, people who have planets in Aquarius or Aries, which is the signs before or after the eclipse. Like, let's say you have a bunch of planets here in Aquarius, you might actually be feeling the influence of the eclipses even more right now, maybe even more than when the eclipse actually happens, because again, it's a waxing influence. It's an influence that is building. So let's say you have a bunch of planets in Aquarius, but you don't have any planets in Pisces. But let's say you have a whole bunch there in Aquarius. Well, you might really be feeling this, especially after we have this lunar eclipse next month in March, at the end of March. Then by the time that happens, if you have a bunch of planets in Aquarius, let's say, you might really start to feel that influence even more, or be feeling it now. Or if you have planets in Aries. So again, what I'm doing in this reading is I'm looking at everyone's chart, and if you're interested in that, looking at how this could influence you, if you're interested in looking at that as well. And again, if not, that's fine. But and if not, you should still get this free web class. But I just wanted to make this video quickly here today because we just passed that threshold where, again, the moon just passed over the point where it's going to be, where the next time we have a full moon, or I'm sorry, where the next time that the moon hits Ketu, it's going to be the full moon, and it's going to be the lunar eclipse. If you want to see how the 2024 eclipse cycle will happen for you, then you can check out this new page. I'm doing some eclipse readings where I'll discuss your 2024 obsessions, which is the sign where Pisces is, and where we have this Rahu eclipse cycle in April. Then the 2024 blind spots and withdrawals, which has to do with the Ketu end of the node. And you could see these obsessions and withdrawals are really an opportunity to look deeper into things. So for example, it says, for me, it's in my 10th house in career. But what is that actually? What is the deeper lesson behind that? Actually, what it is confidence, responsibility, maturity. Those are the real reasons. So when I do these readings, I will look into the deeper reasons behind things like your obsessions, your blind spots. I'll also analyze your chart, see if you have planets in Pisces or Virgo. But actually, even as planets get closer to those signs, they will be in the eclipse vortex, because again, these eclipse seasons wind up being a couple months. So like March, April, and May, there's going to be a lot of eclipse energy. September, October, November. So again, check it out. Register for the audio report. It's a discounted reading right now. You can get this eclipse reading, and it will really help you understand these 2024 eclipses. Yeah, so as I said, this, especially when you really understand this diffusion and influence, that it's really a waxing and waning effect, then really any planets in these adjacent signs are also incredibly influenced by the actual eclipse. And because now we're in that very strong window, that month and a half or so, I'm, bringing this out. So, and again, it's very important for you to understand for your sign as well, because again, like if you're Taurus, then this is happening. Then right now, these planets are in your 10th house, right? Like let's say your ascendant is Taurus, then you're having Sun, Saturn, Mercury up here in your 10th in your 10th house. But let's say you also have a bunch of planets there, right? Let's say the sun or whatever. Then again, as we build up to this eclipse influence, you're going to start feeling the profound effect. And then this exact house that the eclipse is happening in is going to get very lit up. So I wanted to make this video, again, mainly to explain and to show this, to also just alert people to these things. Because, I make a video and then I know that I made the video and I said the thing, but then people don't remember. And again, it's not just so people will, believe me or something, but it's to keep, so you're paying attention like, okay, Sam talked about this, and notice how all of these eclipse themes seem to be getting more concentrated. Go back and say that even in that class that I did last year, this free class that I did in September, October, a lot of the things that I did when I explained what are the nodes, what are the eclipses, some of them we've already even seen. Like, for example, again, big things with King Charles. He was Prince Charles then. I said this months ago. I didn't say he was going to get sick or get cancer, but it was a huge thing for him. So again, he had a huge shift that happened back then. So when I talked about it recently, I didn't just pull it out of thin air. Again, I do this stuff all the time. I do these updates. So this is kind of an update within an update. And so it'll be interesting to go back and look and see these events that I did. And also just, again, for all 12 signs, this is what I went over. So again, this is that free forecast for you, the Rahu Ketu forecast. And again, if nothing else, just so you can see it for your sign, for all 12 signs. Aside from that, I just wanted to let people know and to really be paying attention that we're now in this eclipse cycle. We're in this eclipse window now. It's full on. We're not just, playing around anymore. This is the real deal. And so for you to notice wherever that Rahu axis is in your chart, whatever sign Pisces is in your chart is very lit up as well right now. It's very activated and it's very, ripe for intense energy. But again, maybe you have a bunch of planets in Virgo as well. And so maybe that Virgo end of the eclipse is also going to be more impactful for you, kind of the way it is for our ex-president, because he didn't have any planets in Pisces, but he has these planets in Virgo. So you can see how the lunar eclipse is really hitting him a lot more this time. Again, but I'm talking about this time, there's also an eclipse cycle in October. So when I talked about this eclipse reading that you can get, I'm talking about both eclipses, both the eclipse cycle now and the eclipse cycle in October. You can go ahead and get that, and I'll take a look. But again, this is just to let people know that these things are available, and that we are moving up into this eclipse cycle, like I said before. And I just wanted to make a quick video since we just passed that place of sort of no return. We're now, again, the next time the moon passes Ketu, it's going to be a lunar eclipse. And then we're, at that time from the end of March until May or so, we're going to be in the full eclipse cycle. So again, I hope this was helpful for you. Share it with others, and we'll talk soon. The eclipse season is really heating up, and I taught a free web class on this Rahu and Pisces, Ketu and Virgo shift for you and your world. You want to check this out. As it says here, what does it mean for your sign and the house axis for you? Because this is going to affect you differently wherever Pisces and Virgo are. For the world, based on the past transits, are you ready? What will happen what's going to happen next. It's very easy. You just click register now. You can select your event date and time. You can watch an instant replay or select a date and time to watch it. Enter your name and email address. As you can see, these are screenshots from the class. Even when I talked about the past history, I even mentioned when King Charles and Camilla were married. I mentioned when the Pope died. I mentioned a lot of things that you've heard me discuss recently. So again, this is a rare opportunity to sit back for an hour and understand how this nodal axis shift and these upcoming eclipses will affect you. So go ahead and check that out. It's free and a great opportunity for you to really check out this. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.